All right, I'm about to share my screen with everyone so that you can see. Can everybody see my screen? Perfect. Perfect. Well, thank you for taking time out of your day for being here for our quarterly convening. Today's focus will be on the importance of family advocates. And just by the room that I see, I feel like this is a room full of family advocates. So if that is the case, that's great. And I would love for us to just kind of have like kind of open it up. I'll have some questions. Mr. Ellis will be one of our panelists, but feel free to join in. Feel free to offer your insight as well, because everybody has a wealth of experience and knowledge, especially going through a school year in your positions. So this is just a brief overlook of how to go. We're having our hello and welcome right now. Then we'll just do a brief overview, have some conversation, some Q&As, and then we'll finish up. So like I said, I want to respect everybody's time, so we'll keep it brief but impactful. So before we get started, let's break the ice a little bit. Tell me your name, tell me your school, your organizations that you represent, and also let's share a memorable moment in the group chat that has happened this school year. So you can either unmute yourself and talk, or feel free to drop your responses in the group chat.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Chanel Johnson, and I'm a family advocate here at Garinger High School. And a memorable moment for me this school year has been hosting our winter coat drive and our prom dress giveaway, because both of those events were very successful here at Garinger for our students and families.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm Ms. Jean-Louise. I'm the bilingual family advocate here at Garinger High School, and this is my partner. So we're great to be able to help families and students reduce some of those barriers. So I'm proud of those giveaways.
My name is Sadiq Ellis. I'm here at Julius L High School. A memorable moment from this school year. I had some people come into a classroom and host a presentation and got some good feedback from some kids. And that's a memorable moment from the school year. We took a lot of pictures and stuff.
Thank you for sharing that. Thank you. For anyone that's just joining in, we're doing a little icebreaker, asking you to say your name, your school, your organization, and just sharing a memorable moment from the school year. Gia put one in the chat. I'll read that out loud here in a second. She said, SchermCo's Foundation memorable moment. We had 300 people at our event last night. Wow, that's really good. 300 people at our event last night at a partner school. Families were smiling and all around as they got the end of year testing information and connected with summer camps and got health screenings. That's good work. That's really good work. It's really good work. Yeah, it's a lot of good things happening. A lot of good things. Full year at that. Cool. Well, we keep going forward. Thank you everyone for sharing. Like I said, we appreciate you. Most of the room is full of family advocates with people who work directly with family. So let's just keep going and flowing and having a good conversation. Feel free to follow us on social media, Facebook, X, no longer Twitter, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube. This conversation will be posted on YouTube afterwards. So feel free to share that with people who may wanted to see, but they were unable to join this call. And just a little bit about who we are. My name is Matthew Gibson. I am the Associate Director of Family Empowerment. For those who not know me, my lovely teammates are on this call, Gia Lynn Bothi and also Kimberly Perez. They are essential parts of this work that we do. And they also work with other schools within our cohort. Thank you, Ms. Graham. These are some of our school partners that we are working with this year. We have the privilege and honor to serve 20 Title I schools and programs this year at our from the work we're doing with family empowerment. So it's been a whirlwind, but it's also been a lot of good things that have happened along the way. So grateful to be able to partner with each of you. So the objective of today is just to get to hear strategies and experience of family advocates to help strengthen relationships with families. Like I said, majority of the folks on this call are family advocates or do some type of intentional deep work with families. And with that, I think there's a wealth of experience to be shared and to be had. So with that being said, we will jump into the conversation. For those who are unsure of a family advocate, I'll let you read this definition that we found. I thought this was a good way to explain what a family advocate does. And based on my experience working as a former family advocate, but also working with family advocates, I think this is a great definition of some of the things that family advocates do in a school. All right. So two of my panelists unfortunately could not be here today. Last minute things, we all know that things come up and that is okay. But I would like to introduce one of our panelists, Mr. Ellis from Julius Chambers. Thank you for taking the time to talk with us and to be on this call. We appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you.
So like I said earlier, and also when I was talking to you, this is kind of be like a conversation. And for anybody that is on this call too, feel free to ask questions. There will be a Q&A section, but feel free to ask questions or even to offer your insights too from some of the questions that I'll ask. But Mr. Ellis, you can just introduce yourself and maybe just tell us a little bit about what got you to Chambers High School.
Oh man. My name is Sadiq Ellis. Yes, I'm here at Chambers High School. I moved from New York. So I was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York, and I came down to Charlotte, North Carolina. And honestly, I seen the position and I was like, oh, like I think I could something I could do. But I didn't know anything about Charlotte, anything about a Title I school as far as Chambers. You know, we have about 2,500 students here. So honestly, I didn't know what I was walking myself into. But on the flip side, it definitely has been a great experience just working, especially coming down from New York. So for me, I'm used to a lot of kids and a lot of people. So, but this is my first actual big high school like this that I ever worked at.
Cool.
So it's been a bit challenging.
Thank you for sharing. I know that's a big experience and a lot of different things. So just thinking about the impact of a family advocate, in what ways do you feel like a family advocate changes the dynamic between families and schools?
Well, I feel like family advocates. So from my experience, I think that we are like the bridge. We meet right there in the middle because a lot of times these families, they can't really get to like administrative or sometimes the counselors and the social workers be busy. So I feel like the family advocate kind of it bridges that gap. And that helps, get a lot more information out because we're a little bit more versatile, we're a little bit more free. So we can able to, move around and jump into different meetings and get that information.
Yeah, no, I get that. I definitely can see that aspect of it, that bridge piece, being able to kind of almost be like a mouthpiece too of communication from what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Also, that bridge, I feel that builds trust, which is important to be able to connect with families. So you mentioned something like just thinking about like collaborations. How do you collaborate with the school staff to ensure that a unified approach is happening to support schools and families?
So what I do is I like to go out and connect with outside businesses. So one of the goals I like to do is like when I like you gotta be able to leave the building. And I think that when you leave the building and you kind of go out and you meet different businesses, you can able to connect with them to bring them back to the school. And that way you can kind of give them opportunity to kind of see what we deal with on a day-to-day basis, and also help them on their end, as far as a business, to see what we can do to kind of develop a partnership. So that's kind of like one way of how I just get, and I also speak with students, trying to figure out like, what exactly do you need when you're not educated on. And some of the kids we deal with are not educated on finance. As much as we kind of learn in school, it's also other additional things that school does not teach you that a separate business can. And dealing with high school kids, they are at that age where someone on work, they need to know where their money is actually going. So that's one part of it.
That makes sense. How has the partnership with SchermCo, how has that supported you in the work that you do?
Oh, it's been great. The meetings daily, weekly. Actually, we meet like every other week. If I need support for our events, they make sure that they come through and get the flyers, get everything together, the food, whatever is needed, they're definitely there. And even just simple as, hey, like you have a student that's struggling to get to school, we can help with that. So it's definitely been a big help.
No, that's real. I definitely, I think in our work, we work a lot with family advocates. I said that earlier, and I find a lot of, it seems like it's always good synergy there when we're able to work with the family advocates to be able to bring forth an event or just be able to help identify or help solve problems with you all. So I know it's a great partnership in between the two, the schools and the family advocates as well. So my next question is this, and I also would like to open this up to anybody else too on the call, but I ask you first, Mr. Ellis, just like in terms of challenges, what would you say are some of the biggest challenges you face in your role, and how do you overcome them? So like think of some of the strategies, the resources that you might use to help overcome the challenges that you face.
Well, I think some of the biggest challenges I do have is time management. I think that being in a school like this, it's kind of hard because if I get into like 2 meetings, my day is done. So that's like the biggest thing, just managing my time and figure out, okay, how am I going to be able to open up my availability, especially when you have different meetings, and say if a parent for family come, you might meet with them for an hour. So I try to organize it by setting up my calendar, and I also have like a daily journal. So just to make sure that I knock off my tasks, just to make sure that I did everything, try to complete as much as I can. Sometimes I can't, but at least I know the next day I'll make sure that, it'll get done. Because our time here, we're here at 6:45, we're to 2:15. It might seem like it's long, but you get into 2-3 meetings, your day is done.
Yeah. I definitely can understand that. And I know that no day is the same. That's the thing too. Every day can be completely different at different times.
And I also like to, any information that I have as far as research, I also like to put that on Parent Square, so that way it can get out to the families. And of course, using like emails, like if somebody has a question or something, I try to make sure I kind of let them give me by email, because I check those periodically. Like I like to be able to, because I always have it on my phone too, so I try to respond back as quick as possible. And that's one of the ways where I kind of help to navigate through those challenges.
Yeah, no, I like those ideas. I think those are very helpful and practical to strategies as well. Does anybody else have any thoughts or insights into how you overcome or what's some of the biggest challenges that you face and then how you overcome them?
I would say one of our biggest challenge here is the language barrier. Considering our school is pretty much 70% Hispanic population, and even though we have a bilingual family advocate, a lot of times she's pulled in several directions to assist families, teachers, school counselors, and so forth. So having the resource to use our interpreters and scheduling them for events, that does help tremendously. But I would definitely say the language barrier is a challenge here at Garinger.
I definitely understand that. Thank you for sharing that as well. I think that is a common narrative that's starting to increase around some of the other schools that we support as well.
The day sometimes my meetings have to be cut short or abruptly because I have to run somewhere else, go there. So I just wish I was a little more intentional with the time that I have with my families and not feel like I have to rush to the next thing and rush to the next thing.
Yeah, I understand that. I understand that. Does anybody else have anything they would like to share? Okay. All right, so my next question is this. Could you share a story or an intervention that you had with a family that has positively impacted a student or family since you've been working there?
For me?
Yeah, my bad. For you,
All
Mr.
right,
But then I can also open that up for everybody else as well. If you would like to share, feel free to afterwards.
well, I have a story. So recently, I'll say about a month and a half ago, I had a student who was in a truancy meeting. So truancy is basically, yes, when kids that don't be coming to school and they absences is just through the roof. So he came in and we had a conversation. And I just asked him two simple questions because he had his mom there with him, and his mom was explaining that she does drop him off to school, and his dad picks him up, so he doesn't even really take the bus. So yeah, he gets chauffeured around. So I'm like, all right, your mom drops you off. So what would you do if your parents wasn't here to support you? So I asked him that question, and then I asked him, what do you want to do with your life? And at first, he paused, he thought about it, and I just told him, like, you got to wake up every day wake up with a purpose. You get your mom, she's dropping you off, then she's going to work, she's doing something with her life. So why are you just coming to, why, if you able to get picked up, why so hard for you just to get up and just come to school? And honestly, he turned it around. To be honest, he's been coming to school. I actually just yesterday I printed him out something for his attendance recovery. So now I just kind of mentor him and just walking him through just day to day. I check him in when I can because this is a big school. So sometimes some kids fall through the cracks. But I think just from that conversation, I did see him after that. And he was like, "Look, I made it to school today. I made it to school today." So I think for him was just knowing that somebody cared, and knowing that he just need a little motivation. And sometimes you just gotta be just honest with them, like, and give them reality because it's real out here, and you got your parents there to support you, but that can be taken away instantly, and you left to do what? You gotta leave left to be figuring it out. So I think that was one situation where I think from that conversation it definitely helped, motivate him. And now he's back in class. I check on him. I text him. I have his phone number now, so we do weekly check-in just to make sure that he's back on track.
Yeah, no, that's a very beautiful story. I think it shows the power of relationships, and then I think in this
Mhm.
family advocates, I feel like that's the beauty, and also the challenge of being a family advocate is because you get to build those really fruitful relationships that it's not tied to like a class, but it's like organic relationships, and that's really cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool to see. Does anybody else have any experiences that they would like to share about David, that's something that has happened in the school year that has been an intervention that you've been able to apply and impact a family or a student in a positive way?
I think for me is when I collaborate with both counselors and social workers and we do the home visits, we're able to connect in a more intimate way with students and families and be able to support them and provide those resources that they need and try to re-engage them back into school, whether they haven't been attending to school, whether they need help with food. So just going out to the homes and meeting them where they are, I think that's been impactful for me and makes that a difference. Like, wow, you showed up to my house, like you guys really care. So that kind of thing.
No, that goes a long way. That relational aspect, that trust building, all of those things are real. That's real. Okay. So a couple more questions and then I'll open it up if anybody else has larger questions at large. But Mr. Ellis, this question is what thinking about like future directions for family advocates or whatnot, what changes would you like to see in how schools partner with family advocates or how they engage family advocates? What do you think schools could do to strengthen this partnership?
I think that come with like more of a strategic plan. I think that the training aspect is what's been the biggest struggle. I think if you don't I think somebody like showing you a route, like, hey, you can learn all the staff, build a relationship with the social worker, build a relationship with the counselors because it's going to tie into your work. It's always going to tie into your work at the end of the day. And I think that them having somebody that can check in with you and come up with plans and see how for your family engagement to be better, I think that will help. I know I've struggled with that. This is my second year in this role, and I think last year if I didn't establish the relationships that I had with people in the building, I think this year would have been more struggle for me because if a family comes to ask you a question, at least you know who to go to answer it. And I think if you don't know that, or if somebody didn't kind of tell you those things, you'd be struggling.
Yeah.
So I think that's the biggest thing is just having somebody that can kind of sit there and plan accordingly with you. Just far as like a training.
No, that's helpful. I can definitely see how that is helpful. Yeah. Would anybody else like to add some insight to that? No pressure. Cool. Well, this is my last question, and then I'll open it up for greater questions at large. In terms of it's a kind of two parts. So it's a two-part question. One is what advice would you give to someone starting as a family advocate? What advice would you give them? And then the second question is how has this role influenced you personally?
So I say for your first question, I say be persistent, be open to learn. Definitely, like I always say, establish those relationships with people in the building, especially counselors, social workers. Go out the building and connect with families and see about definitely do some home visits because it can give you better insight in what these kids actually go through. A lot of things start from home. And I think when you go out the building, you can see why they may come to school or why some of them don't want to come to school. Sometimes some of them don't have the proper clothing, so they don't want to get bullied. It'd be a lot of different things why, and I learned going on home visits. Some of the parents be home. Their phone number might not be in Power School, but they be home. And when you go to the home, it's like you leave them. They have to answer the door, and it leads to have that one-on-one conversation. And then your second part was you said how it's influenced. What you said? How has that influenced a personal? I think with the family aggregate, it made me develop like better networking skills. I think definitely like going out and speaking to different businesses helped me just being a little bit more personable, having conversations and speaking, and definitely public speaking, because having an event, especially with parents, you got to sit there, you got to host, you got to get on the microphone and greet parents, and definitely helped me with my speaking skills, my public speaking skills. So I think that's and organizing it too. That helps me a lot. Yeah, because I kind of struggle with public speaking a little bit, so I'm getting it making me feel a little bit more comfortable.
Now you're getting some more practice here today too. So
yeah, right now I'm like, whoa, you can't see it. I'm probably over here sweating right now. You probably didn't even tell.
No, it was I really do appreciate you making space to have this conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's been I have enjoyed it. I think you've dropped some gems as well. And so like I said, thank you. And so right now at this point, I want to open it up to everybody that is on the call. If you got any questions, if you have any insights, please ask, please share. We'll take the next few minutes and we'll just answer some questions.
I just want to say that I commend Mr. Ellis because he's a male family advocate. So I commend you for the work that you're doing over at Julius L Chambers. So good job there. And I'm sure you're able to connect with a lot of the male students in your role. So keep up the great work over there.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? I think I do have. How often, as family advocates, do you all get to connect with other family advocates at their schools? That's just kind of a question that came up out of my mind right now. So, like, how often do you connect with, let's say, a family advocate at Mallard Creek or a family advocate at a middle school that's near you or something? You know, that's the question, is how often do you get to connect with other family advocates, if at all?
We have almost from the district. They have like a PD. That's something I can think on top of my head. They have a PD that you're supposed to go to. They have they having one actually this month in May. There's different advocates that come across from different schools and they actually meet and go through run a little PD for about 3 hours. And I think that's the only time that we actually get to connect. As far as that,
Okay.
Mr. Ellis, remember that time we bought you over, or we bought the family advocate from Governor's
oh yeah,
Village?
well, Miss
Remember last
Muhammad,
year?
yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. I know you guys got to connect a lot, and you and your other family advocate got to tell her how to do her job, essentially, because she was so new to her role. So
And
thank you.
that was actually great. That was a great thing because it kind of gave her a little bit more insight.
Yeah, I always just feel like anytime that family advocates can get together and talk, I think it's super helpful. A lot of times I feel like when a family advocate starts at a school, they're building the plane as they're flying it.
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah.
so with that is it's always good to have maybe insight from folks who have done it or doing it to continue to, share best practices. For sure. But yeah, if anybody has any other questions, ask them. If not, we will proceed to the final parts of this quarterly convening. But yeah, are there any last questions, thoughts, comments, insights?
Yes, I have a question. What would you like to see if you could ask and for sure it be delivered? What would you like to see changed so that so that your job would be easier, so that you could feel more supported in the coming years? Whether it be help from the district, help from the school, help from the community, what do you think would make your job run smoother?
I think for me, from my school, definitely help from the district, both district and the community. I think that if the district can come in and kind of help establish some more partnerships and relationship with outside resources, it'll make my job a little more easier to where I can kind of bring it together. Because I think CMS is the biggest school, one of the biggest schools. It's big all through the district. So it's multiple different schools. I think that if they can establish a little more better relationship just with Charlotte, we got Duke Energy, we got all these businesses that run into Charlotte that can help out in these schools. And it works for them too, because you have kids who's coming straight out of high school as well. Not only you have middle school, but you have high school kids. So it can work for their business because now they can employ them at 18 years old and put them through internships and things like that. So I think that it should be a good help.
Yeah, that's a good question, Kim. Ms. Graham offered in the comment section, she also said that it's even tougher creating those partnerships at a charter school, which I definitely can understand as well.
I do have one question for Miss Graham. Do you feel as if charter schools are, I don't want to say left behind, but do you feel as if they get the same care and attention that district schools are getting through CMS?
She said no, she does not think they have to work a lot harder, and she can speak to both sides, CMS and also a charter school. She spent 10 years in CMS, so definitely know both sides of the coin. Yeah, I can definitely see how that is. You know, charter schools don't necessarily have the I would say also like the financial backing of like a big district schools like CMS and things of that nature as well. So it's really just like a startup business in some ways. Thank you, Ms. G. But yeah, any final questions before we wrap it up? Okay. Yeah, Sugar Creek started in 1999. Yeah. I've been around for a while though, so I definitely have a lot of relationships in the community, but still I can recognize the aspects of it to be making it difficult for you, for sure. Okay. So once again, thank you all. Just a few next steps that'll help us all at SchermCo. I think you all know we love surveys, we love feedback. You know, feedback helps us to grow. If you all could take the time to complete this survey, Gia, if you don't mind dropping this in the chat for everyone, that'd be a big help to me. If not, I can do it before we get off the call.
Can you do it? I actually don't have
Okay.
the deck pulled up.
Okay, that's cool. I'll do that. I'll make sure that I drop this in the chat box. Well, thank you, Miss Smoke. Let me hop out here for a second. Give me a second. I'm gonna drop this in the chat box for everyone.